How's it going, guys? I'm posting this video right now as a post-sermon devotional. I can't promise that I'll do this every week, but I did it last week and kind of felt led to do it today as well. But every Sunday after I preach a message, I go and I talk to the Lord and I thank Him for the ability to preach the Word. I ask what could have been added, what could have been subtracted, and then I ask, Lord, how can you continue to engage your Word in my heart, the same Word that I preached, this coming week. And something that I was just dwelling on yesterday, and I wanted to post it today, maybe for you to chew on as well. Maybe this is something that could be thrown in with your home group discussions, is verses 21 to 26 in Philippians 1. Paul says in verse 21, "For to me, to live is Christ, and to die is gain." He says the essence of life is Christ, and to die means I'm going to be with Him face to face. He says, "If I remain on in the flesh, this will mean fruitful labor for me, and I don't know which to choose. But I'm hard-pressed from both directions, having the desire to depart and be with Christ, for that's very much better." Verse 24, "Yet to remain on in the flesh is more necessary for your sake." And I think verse 25 and 26 is really hitting me more today, just as I reflect on the message and want to share it with you. Verse 25, "Convinced of this, staying behind on earth and not yet departing and being with Christ, convinced of this, I know that I will remain and continue with you all as a church for your progress and joy in the faith." Paul's number one heartbeat in ministry is to glorify Christ, number one. But number two, it's to see to it that the church continues to progress in the joy in the faith. Paul wants to see their continued sanctification, their continued maturity. Whether he's in prison or wherever he's at, he wants to remain in the ministry so that his influence can continue to touch the church in Philippi. Paul's desire is to invest in those that God has given him a sphere of influence with, to invest in. And I mentioned this a little bit yesterday. It would be one thing for me to hypothetically depart and be with Christ and to leave the opportunity behind of shepherding Ottawa Bible. It would be one thing for me to go and depart and be with Christ and to lose the opportunity of ministering on the campus. It would be another thing for me to depart and be with Christ and then to lose the opportunity to evangelize and make more disciples and create new leaders and that sort of thing, just in general. But the part that would be most difficult would be leaving behind my wife and my kids. And I think Paul's heart for the believer, if applied to us today, and if you're not a pastor, it would be that you would realize who you have influence over and that you would have a fresh start or a fresh initiative. I think that's the better word. A fresh initiative at saying, who is it that I can invest in right now, and how can I give it my all, my absolute all? Because if I depart and be with Christ, I'm not going to be able to do that again. So I really want to challenge you. Who is it that God has put in your life that you have influence over, and maybe you're just kind of reacting to the influence you have in their life? It's just as you go. How can you be more intentional to invest in those individuals? I know for me, I'm trying with everything that I have to shepherd and to pastor my home first. I think that qualifies me to be an elder, 1 Timothy 3. If a man can't shepherd his own household, how can he shepherd the household of God? So the prerequisite for being a pastor is to shepherd your home. But I also think that's a standard for every man, to shepherd your home, to lead your home, to lead your wife and your children. So I want to encourage you with that. Make sure that is your motive. But I think one last thing to say is yesterday it was really just very encouraging to see the attendance at Ottawa Bible. We have good attendance every Sunday, truthfully, but first service felt like shoulder to shoulder. We had a lot of visitors. The visitors were being welcomed. We want to celebrate that. They weren't being missed. We had a number of college students there. We had a number of long-time, tenured believers here at this church gathering and fellowshipping together. The second service was well attended. Breakfast was well attended. There was a lot going on. You could just sense the enthusiasm in the room. So I wanted to close with this. OBC, when you continue to engage in the body, when you continue to prioritize Sunday attendance, not because you have to, but because you want to be available to brothers and sisters who need to be encouraged for the day is drawing near. When we continue to show up like that as a church, and we show up with that same enthusiasm, God starts working in our midst, and he starts working through relationships. A pastor friend of mine, his name is Rich Cantrell, he always taught me that there is something about the ministry of presence, just the ministry of being physically present. You know, when there's not a consistent flow of people out of town and going and being busy with life, but when the body is engaged with the service and willing to worship and honor Jesus Christ, we can more readily be involved in one another's lives, more readily invest and disciple one another. We can be used of God just by simply being here. So, if anything, I just want to celebrate with you. Like, this is a celebration. I think we're in a new season in our church right now. We just finished up Revelation. We're in this encouraging letter to the church in Philippi. I've always said that I think the Philippian church emulates Ottawa Bible most closely from all the other letters. But man, when we're all here together, it's vibrant, it's fun, it's enthusiastic. You've got young families and you've got the older generations, and everybody's coming together, and we're investing in one another, and we're investing in the Lord. Let's keep that going. Let's keep that going. This is good news. This is something to celebrate. When our people enjoy being at church, to hear the word of God, to worship the Lord, and to have fellowship with one another, we're in a good spot. God bless you, and I hope to see you next Sunday. Take care.